Okay, today we are working on a D40 Navara Spanish build, and we are putting on a Alpha Predator bar, which has a hoopless bar. Now this customer's requested putting the loop on, so this loop will come separately, but here's what comes in the kit. You get these brackets here, which is for a light bar. It sets it in the right position inside the loop. And you also get the hardware to mount the loop and the bracketry. Also in the kit you get the gap rubber, so this basically sets the gap along the whole bar and will go along this edge here all the way around, and yeah, just set the whole gap for the bar. There is your front grille. Now this is the last piece that goes on the bar itself. Once everything's mounted up, bash plates are on, that'll be the last step. There you have the number plate bracket, mainly applicable for winches as it is an adjustable bracket, basically lets the number plate flip up and down. You don't have to run it, but if you are running a winch, obviously it is required. Here we have the cradle itself. So this mounts obviously to the face plate of the chassis rail, and these are the brackets that go on the chassis rail itself to basically stiffen it up and support the weight of this cradle here. Now these are put in the correct orientation, so this is the right side with the flange facing out, and it slides up in to the chassis, which I'll show you later, and it's just the same mirrored on the other side. This here is your bolt kit, so you have your long M10s here which will go through the chassis rail itself, and then you have all these M12s which will sandwich these two plates together and mount the bar to the cradle itself. So there is a lot of M12s in here with corresponding washers, spring washers and nuts, and that's the same with the M10s. It's got all that in there as well. Now there is a small packet just here full of stainless steel button heads, and they are for the grille assembly, the number plate bracket, and there are a couple M6s in there as well for the number plate, just to tie it all in together. Now when you first open up the bar, it will come with the grills already attached, fog lights and the park light indicator. I obviously take these out to start off with because I'll be extending these in preparation to put them in the vehicle itself. So obviously the headlights will have to come out and we have to wire in behind the headlight. That I will not show you, as that should be done by an auto sparky. Obviously if you know just general 12-volt wiring, give it a go if you'd like. The wiring on the light itself here, you've got brown, which is indicator, red, which is park light, and black, which is ground. Like I said, if you're good at 12-volt wiring and can figure that out, then by all means do it yourself. Now any light bars or anything like that light bar will not fit anywhere in the bar. That is way too big. What fits in these bars is a 21-inch dual row in the loop, and with all Alpha bars there is a 21-inch single row which will fit into that gap there. So unfortunately for the customer that has to go, but at a later date he can obviously add any lights that he would require. Now that we've gone through everything that comes in the kit, where you want to start off with the car is taking the bumper off, taking the grille out. Now the grille's pretty simple to come out. You've got scrivets here. These are plastic screws in a clip. Obviously there's a couple missing already. And then on both sides here and here there is like a fork clip that you just have to pull, and hopefully it breaks off without breaking anything. And then down in here, don't know if you can see it, but there are a couple of tabs that you will basically have to get your finger on it and push up, and then slide it out of the bumper, because it's basically just slides in. So I'm going to get that off now, the grill, and then we'll continue on with how to take off the bumper itself. So now that we've taken off the grill, we're now going to be taking off the bumper. Where you want to start is, obviously this bumper's obviously been off before, but you will have clips here, like just that one there, and this one here, and underneath the vehicle itself, you're going to have, oh, okay, yep, it's been all ripped apart. You're going to have a couple of screws, so they're Phillips head screws, 10 mils to take off this tray, and then once that tray has been taken off, most of them have been snapped off, but basically you're going to have 10 mils along this bash plate that will hold the bumper on as well. So you're going to take them out, and then once you've taken that out, the trickiest one is holding the bumper on itself. Now I find it hard to get in here myself. I basically have to peel this fender liner all the way back, so I turn the wheels in or out and then pull it back, because there is a 10 mil on top coming down this way here, and one all the way up here, and it is quite difficult to get to. I do suggest getting a long ratcheting 10 mil. That will help you out a lot. Now, holding this fender liner on, you have a Phillips head here, you have a Phillips head just here, a Phillips head here, and another one just up in here. I do recommend taking all these out, as you will need to peel this quite far back. But yeah, once that's out, you can get to these two 10 mils here, which I will show you where they are once I get this completely out of my way. So I'm going to do that now and come back to show you where those are. Okay, so as you can see here, that's how I've had to pry the fender liner away just to get to these bolts. So up in here, oh, it's hard to see, you got one there, and then right up the end, and it's not a very big void to get your hand in, so just be careful you don't cut yourself. Those two 10 mils there need to be removed in order to get the bumper off, because unlike traditional cars, D40s don't just clip in. The whole bumper support is kind of like riveted to the bumper, and it's held in by those two 10 mils. So once you get them off, the ones down the bottom, the screws and the clips, you just want to pull down and then out. And there are two bumper support stays underneath the headlight here. You just have to give it a good tug to get the bumper off. So I'm going to take them out now, pull the bumper off, and show you what's underneath and what needs to be removed, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, so now that we've got the bumper off, like I was saying, they've got these little bumper stays. You just have to give it a good tug and it will pop off. Now that we've got that off, what we want to do is remove this bar here alongside the bash plate, which is 10 mil bolts holding it on. I'll just show you here. There's one there, and then two right underneath. So you want to take them all off. Here, very similar thing. You got 10 mils holding this like face plate on, and then you want to take these brackets off as well. The only one you don't want to remove is this bracket here, as the intercooler is held on by this bracket. So that just basically gets that out of the way. If you want to put a winch in or anything like that, you will need to remove this. If you're not putting a winch in, you possibly could keep that in. I haven't done that yet, but it's all trial and error at the end of the day. With how to take this crash bar off after you take the bash plate off, is there are two 17 mil bolts. So this, you will want a breaker bar. They're quite difficult to come off from factory they are torqued up to a crazy spec. So get a breaker bar with a 17mm, snap these off. So there's one up here and then one in this hole all the way in there, so you'll need quite a big extension. Once those two are off on both sides, the thing just pops off quite simply. Next stage is taking off these plastic air ducts. They honestly really don't do much. We want them out of our way. So there is a plastic clip up here and a plastic clip, where was it? There, just in there. Take those two out, pull the wiring out from it, and then away it goes. So yeah, I'm going to take that all off now. It's pretty easy disassembling stuff. Just find out where it's mounted to and rip those bolts out. Once we're done there, we'll move on to the headlights. These headlights are actually mounted in quite a few spots. So you've got the two 10mm up the top, then you have this 10mm right here, you have this one, and you have that one in there holding just the light in. Now once you get all that loose, you want to pop the light out, just take all the lights out, because sometimes the connectors can be quite old and brittle, especially getting to this age. So just twist the lights out and pop them aside for doing your wiring. Once again, I'm not going to show you how to do the wiring because, like I said, that should be done by an auto electrician. So let me get all this stuff out of my way and we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so we'll just remove that crash support and that little bracket up there. Now what you want to do with the crash support is keep these bolts. There's 4 of them, you need to keep them. They're a fine thread, we do not supply these in the kit. These are more than adequate to hold on what it needs to hold on until we get the bracing put in and our own bolts. So basically they're just to locate and to get it centered on the vehicle, and then the rest we provide the bolts for. Now another one that you need to take off is the factory recovery point. So that's two 17mm here and here. Once again, breaker bar is needed to get that off. Now what I like to do at this point is cut the fender liner. So right at this very point, you're not going to know where to cut it without this guide. So a lot of people will just keep these on until they put the bash plates on, but I'll show you a quick and easy way to do it. So technically we're going to cut where this line is here. Everyone's going to have this sort of protrusion. You want to come down probably about 2 fingers and come straight across. So I hope you can see that good enough. It's full of dirt. So basically you want to come in just underneath that and cut straight across. That's going to give you sort of the best result. Now it is up to you on how strong you are at the end of it to fold this edge into the bar, as the bar has quite a big lip. If you're not overly strong, I would suggest cutting it about 20mm in, all the way down from the top, all the way down to where you've cut 20mm. That'll make it easier to fold it in once the bar's all done or on, ready to go. But yeah, I like to keep the whole lot as it keeps it a lot more rigid. If you do cut that 20mm off, it will be a little bit sloppy. It won't pop out, but it will just be slightly sloppy. So that's completely up to you, personal preference there. I'm going to get this recovery point off now, and I'm going to get ready to put the bracketry on. So we'll come back when I'm ready to do that. Okay, so we're now to the stage where we're going to put these brackets on here. Like I said, the face plate outward, so left side, right side. Take the bolt kit, just spread it out. You're going to need these big long 10 mils here. These are M10, sorry, with a 16 mil head. You'll need 2 of them to get you started. And then for the left side where the recovery point is, you want to put that aside because you'll be reinstalling that just very soon. But basically, you have a hole here which goes all the way through, and a hole here that goes all the way through. You're going to be mounting this up like so, just like that. Slide in, and you'll be putting the bolt straight through there into this side, which has a nut welded on, so you don't have to worry about putting a spanner on that. So I'm going to get that mounted up now, and then I'll show you how to put the recovery point back on. Okay, so and that's how it goes on. So we've got the 10 mil, well it's M10 with a 16 mil head, the long ones going through the chassis here, right there in the middle and right there at the back, plus the factory recovery point, those 2 M12 with a 17 mil head going through there, and that's the same on this side as well. And those ones down there. So now we are ready to put the winch cradle on, which is also like the crash support and the Bullbar brackets. So I'm going to bring that over now. Like I said, to start off, you want to put those factory bolts back in, like put the winch cradle on, put the bolts through, and tighten those 4 up first, and get it centered on the vehicle, because the bolts are ovalized like so, so that'll give you like left to right adjustment. Now what you want to do is grab a tape measure, and I usually measure off these points here, so these little tabs, they're exactly the same on either side, so go across and cross-reference that support. So yeah, from memory it's 915 mil from here to there, so on and so forth. So I'm going to get that all centralized now, and then show you the bolts that'll go through and secure it to the new plate. So I'm going to do that now and come back when I'm ready to show you what bolts to use. Okay, so this stage, before fully tightening everything, once centralized, you want to come over and grab these here. These are M12 with an 18 mil head. You want to grab the corresponding washers. So flat washer goes on first, pop it into any desired holes. Obviously you will need 4 of them to complete the mount. I'll just show you just one, and then you want another flat washer and spring washer that goes on the back side, if I can do this one-handed. And one of the big M12 nuts, and then you just basically want to rinse and repeat and pop them in one by one. Now tighten these up to the point that you can't tighten them no more. But yeah, so it's an 18 mil socket you want on the front and an 18 mil spanner on the back, and tighten them up by hand, torquing them up to, I'd say, 140 foot-pound. So yeah, we'll get all that done now, and that's the cradle all finished. So we'll come back once we're ready to put the bar on. But before we do that, we obviously have to put the rubber on the bar. We have to sort of tighten all the lights and everything like that, and then we can pop it on the car. So we'll come back once that's all done. Alrighty. So we put our rubber on the bar. We've tightened every nut and bolt on the back side, and on the front we've mounted the loop on, and we've put an Apex Vision 21-inch light bar in there as well for the customer. Now obviously you're not going to have a trolley like this. If you do, then that's great, do exactly what I'm doing. If not, you're going to need a couple of people to hold each side as you put it on the vehicle. This basically just helps me get it level, and helps me get the tilt as well. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to slide it over these. So you've got your vertical pieces here, and we're going to go in and mount her up. Now to mount them up, you're going to be using these M12, I think they're like 50mm long, with the corresponding washers, springs and nuts. So it's pretty easy to align these. The rubber sets your gap on the sides here, so that's your 10 to 15mm gap. I like to squish it in a little bit to 10mm, as these D40s don't really have too much body flex when they have the factory body mounts. So yeah, I'm going to slide that on, adjust it to where I'm happy with it, and bolt her in. So I'll show you that after it's all done, and yeah, show you the gaps and everything like that. Alright, so here's the bar all mounted up. So what I try and do is obviously line up with the body lines, and it's pretty much on par. And like I said, I like to squash it in a bit. These don't move too much. Now there is obviously, you will get a headlight gap, but we design it like that so it's nowhere near the headlights. That way you don't have any problems with them cracking, nothing like that. Obviously this one's already cracked, it's got moisture in it, but there you are, same gap on the other side, and as you can see, it follows the body lines. So it's a very nice bar, fits very well, and there's those bolts. Now, there is a lot of adjustment, so just take your time, adjust it correctly, and you should have no problems at all. So from here, I'm going to put the grill in, the grill back in, connect up my lights, and then I'm going to unpackage the bash plates. The bash plates are very simple. Basically, under the bar here, you have holes. Bash plate corresponds to those holes, bolt it up, and you use this bolt hole here as the bottom bracket for the skid plate, and then that's the same for the middle skid plate as well. But I'll unpackage that now and show you. Okay, so your bash plates will come in a different, obviously a different packaging. I'm gonna unpack that, and this is what it's going to look like. You have both your side skid plates, hardware included, and then you have the middle bash plate itself. So this is the front, that'll bolt up to these two holes here, and then it will run down to your center support right here, which you'll then bolt it in from the bottom. Everything is provided in the kit, so I'm going to get them on now and show you the end product. But it's fairly simple. You just use these bolts that are in the kit, and yeah, so it's a 6mm Allen key, and that's a 10mm nut. So they're the tools that you need for this job. So I'm going to get them on now and show you that. Then we'll put the middle grill in, and then it will all be complete. Okay, so as you can see, side skid plates are on. And it's the same with the middle. There, and underneath. So now that's all secured, ready to rock and roll. Move over to this front grille. Now this front grille, this angle here goes on the outside of the bar, just like that. I've seen some people try and put it on the inside, but it definitely goes on the outside. Now what you're going to use to secure this is that small packet I was showing you earlier. You have M8 with button head, Allen key, and this is what's called a flange nut. So we're going to use that, 7 of these, to mount the grill. I'm going to put it in now and show you what it looks like. There you have it. 7-bolt ladder. All done. Now what we're going to do is move on to the number plate bracket, which is the last step before we put number plate on, send the car out. So let me show you how that goes right now. Okay, here's your number plate mount. This comes in a plastic bag like so, mind the mess. And now in that little packet that you saw as well, you're going to have 2 of these left over and 2 nylock nuts. Basically how this goes on is you go in like that, line the 2 holes up, slap your bolt through, tighten it up with the nylock to the desired tension that you want on the hinge, and that's that. The side with the angle on it, not the flat piece of steel but the angled steel, that's what mounts to the bar itself. We'll come over here, it'll mount like that with the angle on top, as that's your stopper, and see how that lines up with those holes there. So that'll mount on like so, the other piece on, that way you're able to flip up the number plate. That's it. Bar's done. Alright, just another little visual representation for those. That's how it goes on. I've done this up a little bit too tight, but I'm going to loosen that off and it basically just swivels up and down. So I'm going to get the number plate on now. And yeah, hope this helps. There's a fitting of a Alpha Predator bar / pack, they're all the same.